You ever wonder why some of the richest people seem the most restless? Why someone with 5 cars still feels like something's missing? Or why the successful man on stage with thousands of followers speaks about loneliness like it's a second skin? See, there's something most people don't talk about when it comes to money. And no, it's not about how to make more of it. It's about how it subtly, quietly changes you. Not in the ways you expect. Bigger house, better wardrobe, fancier vacations, but in what you start to care about. It shifts your priorities, your values. Not overnight, not with a big dramatic bang, but slowly, like water reshaping stone. That's what we're going to unpack today. And I want to talk to you, not to impress you or motivate you in that manic, high-energy way, but to share something I've lived, something I've seen erode the peace of people who once thought they had it all. Because if you don't catch it early, you might wake up a stranger to your own soul, surrounded by things, but detached from meaning. I used to think I'd finally made it the day I could afford to say yes to anything. I still remember that morning, opening my banking app and realizing I didn't have to budget for lunch anymore. That little detail, it sounds so small, doesn't it? But it hit me like a wave. I made it. And for a while, everything felt like freedom. But then something odd happened. I stopped calling old friends back, not out of arrogance, but because I started surrounding myself with people who talked like me, earned like me, thought like me. The conversations became more about moves and margins than meaning. I remember being in a cafe with a mentor I deeply respected. He wore cheap sandals and carried a beat-up notebook, and he looked at me one day and said, "You're confusing options with values." That line sat with me for months, because I was. Wealth gives you options, but it quietly tempts you to forget why you wanted those options in the first place. You start to believe you are your net worth. You forget what made you laugh when you had nothing. And before you know it, your value system starts dancing to a new rhythm, one you didn't choose consciously, but one you accepted unconsciously. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you looked at your goals and asked, whose voice am I really chasing? Because here's the thing. Money doesn't just shift what you can afford. It shifts what you believe matters. You start measuring your worth by what's visible, how you're perceived, how impressive your lifestyle looks, how easily you can upgrade. And the danger is, it doesn't feel wrong. It feels like progress, like growth, like success. But often, what's really happening is a quiet corrosion of your original values. Maybe you used to care about solitude, creativity, quiet dinners with someone who gets you. Now you check your follower count before bed. You used to walk to clear your head. Now you jog to burn calories for the image. It's not evil. It's just sneaky. And if you don't stay aware, you trade joy for optics, connection for leverage, peace for performance. I know this isn't a popular message. We live in a world that sells hustle like a holy scripture. But that's the myth I want to dismantle today. That more always means better. The idea that as your income grows, your life naturally becomes more valuable. What if the opposite is sometimes true? What if, in chasing wealth, you start valuing things that take you further from what actually fulfills you? I remember talking to a friend who sold his startup for more than most people will earn in their lifetime. And over coffee one afternoon, he admitted something that floored me. I haven't been truly excited about anything in 3 years. Not because he was ungrateful, but because the chase gave him purpose, and the arrival left him numb. He'd built a life where his value was entirely wrapped in performance, and now that he had won, he didn't know what else mattered. See, money didn't just change his bank account. It changed the very things he paid attention to. Let's talk about attention, because that's the first thing money reshapes. When you have none, you notice the simple things. A sunny day, a good laugh, a free moment with someone you love. But when you start having more, your attention drifts towards status, toward curation, toward how things look instead of how they feel. And that's where the hidden danger lies. You don't wake up one day and say, "I no longer care about joy." You just start prioritizing other things. You start saying yes to meetings you hate because the people are powerful. You begin to eat at places where the food is average, but the clientele is elite. You become obsessed with optimization, and the art of simply being starts to feel inefficient. I'm not saying money is bad. I'm saying without conscious recalibration, it makes you a stranger to your old self. What I've learned, and I say this gently, because I know how seductive the dream is that success without self-awareness is a trap. You may still reach your goals, but lose sight of your values on the way. And here's the hard part. The world will celebrate you for it. They'll applaud your ambition, your lifestyle, your hustle. They won't know that you miss who you were before the race began. I've had to ask myself many times, what do I want this money for? What do I want this success to do for me? And not just to me. Because there is a difference. One builds, the other blinds. I think back often to my grandfather. He wasn't rich, but every Sunday, he had this ritual. He'd fix a small cup of tea, sit on the porch, and just watch the world go by. No phones, no rush, just presence. He had a way of making you feel like you were the most important person in the room, even when you were saying nothing at all. That's a kind of wealth I didn't understand in my 20s, but I do now. Because the longer I've been around truly wealthy people, not just rich in money, but rich in spirit, the more I've realized that values don't scale unless you protect them. They're fragile. And if you don't defend them from the noise of prestige, they fade quietly into the background. Welcome to our channel, where the mission is clear, not to deter you from chasing success, but to guide you in pursuing it with clarity and integrity. Here, we focus on long-term positioning and honesty, because true financial freedom isn't just about numbers. It's about freeing yourself from illusions and anchoring to values that remain steady, regardless of market fluctuations. If you're watching this, you're likely ambitious, seeking more from life. I respect that, as I share the same drive. But I urge you to stay awake, to recognize how easily your direction can change without intention. The cost of ambition isn't always financial. Sometimes, it's your peace, relationships, and joy. So, next time you strive for more, be it income, recognition, or growth, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, will this help me value what truly matters? Or is it a shortcut to avoid deeper issues? Often, what we chase most fervently are things we believe will finally make us feel worthy. But the truth is, that sense of worthiness was always within you. You just need to choose it. Together, as a community, we can pursue success without letting it redefine us. Let's continue to grow and learn, but never lose sight of our true values. That's how we build a life that doesn't just appear rich, but feels genuinely free.